tell the world we are Liverpool, champions of England.
We've conquered all of Europe. We're never gonna stop. From Palestine to Taki, we've won the fucking lot. The place we have the Shankly, the fields of Anfield gold. We are unsupported, and we come from Liverpool.
LFC Resurgence. The title of this show. You want to see that again? LFC Resurgence. We beat Brentford 3-0, and now we're going to win the league. That's basically how Twitter works. How are we going, everyone? This is the Red Sea Down Under. This is kind of like a post-Brentford, pre-Arsenal show coming at you here in the middle of the week. It is a match debate, coming at you with a match debate. Make sense of all those words. We've got here with the Red Sea Down Under, Peter, we've got Nick, we've got Jimmy. Pete, first of all, how you going, man?
Excellent, George. I'm just here ready to match debate with my little Bobby.
With your little Bobby. Coming at you in the middle of the week, match debating with your little Bobby. I tell you what, there's no greater collection or selection of words.
I was going to say, it is a bobblehead, so technically he's not wrong with his little Bobby. Bobby, bobhead, bobblehead, he's not wrong.
Little bobblehead. And Nick, I can see that you're in good spirits. We've thumped them 3-0. It was too easy. There was no problems. They had no chances. That lineup was unbelievable. Liverpool are back. We're going to win the league.
Well, if Chelsea are going to keep stumbling, we're going to just keep winning. It's going to be a close one. Maybe not as close as we'd probably like to think of it to be, but one can hope. So long as we push all the way, you never know what could happen. But we've only got one game in hand, so that's still it's going to be a bit of a deficit to chop through. But yeah, not a bad thing, I should say.
Well, this is just the first thing I'm going to put up, Jimmy, because I just want trolls. I'm fully expecting someone in the comments going, excuse me, we can't actually catch City. But, you know, we beat Brentford. I'm just trolling with that. I'm going to come to that later. But basically, we beat Brentford. What state were you in when you watched it? I mean, you're over in the Melbourne right now. You got the same time zone as us here in the Sydney. I actually struggled 1 o'clock in the morning.
Terrible.
Terrible. It's just it's such a because you have to stay up. This is the thing about the Aussies. We have to stay up until 1 a.m.
That's it.
How did you find the match? Did you manage to watch it live?
Yeah, I managed to watch it live. It's 1 o'clock is that pain in the arse time for us, isn't it? It really is. But managed to watch it. The 3 points makes it worth it. Still a challenge to be able to get up and survive that time. But I think after the last couple of games, everything like that, in terms of, or at least the Arsenal game in particular, I think being able to witness that, especially with this sort of, fill-in in certain areas when you look at some of the players in the lineup, I still think walking away 3 points is absolutely fantastic. We've been talking about how we're going to go without Mane and Salah. I think that was the first Premier League game since May 2017 that neither of them have actually played. Wow. Walked away 3 points, so I was a happy man, that's for sure.
There's an answer to our question, by the way, from Antio Chill. There's more chance of DP to get out on parole than us catching City. Oof.
Don't know.
Burn.
That is harsh, man. That's a harsh call, but probably not factually incorrect.
Well,
I don't know, man.
Kidnapping people then.
I know that's just dumb. Don't do that. What if we kidnap some of City's players? Would that help us?
Someone tried to bash Concea. That didn't work.
True. No. It's just not going to happen for us, is it? No.
Jurgen, where were you on the night of Wednesday? I was in the lab creating positive COVID cases. I mean, I was not. I could not have been. My shite attempt at an impromptu accent from Jurgen Klopp impression, if you will. Well, look, I'm going to put it on this because I want to get your guys' thoughts about. I mean, we can run through the game pretty quickly about what you guys thought, but we'll start up with the lineup because that's what Pete has put here on the agenda. Pete El Capitan. But this is kind of. I mean, this is cool. We've got the technology coming here. If everyone can see that, all you people watching at home, this was the lineup that we started with. We actually wanted Chamberlain to start in Henderson's position, but we pretty much called this, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just going to hide that so that
Yeah, we did.
we can see Nick down on the bottom. We kind of predicted this. I'm not sure if anyone had any surprises to this. If anyone, or forever hold your peace, anyone surprised by this lineup at all?
Nah, that we expected that midfield. Jones coming back in. Even Klopp said, show us how good you can be on the pitch and everything. And Pete did allude to Chamberlain starting on the right. And look, we've seen how he performs on that right. He came off with a bit of an injury as well, but he did get himself a goal. So and I can't really fault him that much on that instance there. But I think if Fabinho is not in that midfield, that's a big worry. But thankfully he's there and he's scoring goals too.
Was there anyone, Pete, in this, as we're looking at the starting lineup, that particularly impressed you? Because obviously Chamberlain does get the goal. I think he does. I think he does all right up front. And the one thing that I noticed, by the way, was that front three. It's almost like they look like they were interchanging a lot more than our traditional front three. Yeah. And I don't know if it's because they don't have the raw talent that our usual front three have, where our usual front three, it seems like, Salah, you are so good that you need to stay wide and you need to draw people to you. And Mane, you're so good out there that you're going to stay there. Whereas these three, it's almost like Klopp has said to them, you guys are so subpar together that we need to try something new. Why don't you all start running around, buzzing around like bees around a hive? And I felt like they were all interchanging really nicely. It was actually very refreshing to watch this front three kind of do their thing.
Well, it's no surprise that there's great movement when Firmino is in the middle of it all. You know what I mean? He's that one who kind of just starts the trend, and the rest just follow. But in terms of great performances, yeah, look, Trent again, he's leading the league in assists from right back. He's got another season of double digits in assists. So Trent, for me, is a stand-up performance, but I've got to give a shout-out to Curtis Jones just because he needs games, and I feel like with a run of games, Curtis Jones can do anything that we need in that midfield. I think he found positions. He found really nice, dangerous positions. He finds pockets really well. He operates on that left side quite well, which we've mentioned 100 times on this show, where we love him operating from the left. And we also love it when he's going forward and he's looking to be dangerous going forward. So, I mean, look at that heat map right there.
Yeah.
So I like that heat map because I want to try and compare it to wherever Jota is. Look at that. They're in the same spot. I like that. It's very Coutinho. Coutinho used to do that with whoever was with him on that side, whether it was Wijnaldum or, back in the day, Mane used to be out on the right when Coutinho when Coutinho was starting to be, get into his heyday. But that's really great to see that. And that's probably what you were just referencing there, Pete. But also, it's really nice to see that little area just in the middle. If I can I don't know if people can actually see that. Is my pen sharp? They're probably not. But there's just that little area in the middle. It just shows that he is drifting a little bit as well.
Yeah, we can see that, yeah.
It's actually
that's cool. I like that. I like that he's drifting. Yeah, go on, Jimmy.
I was going to say, it's interesting as well if you pull up Andy Robertson's heat map as well. And it's actually quite interesting. Oh, wow. They're all almost in the exact same place. But obviously, Andy Robertson gets the assist for Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain's goal. So it actually shows you the work that they're doing on that left-hand side is so heavy and so influential in the game. Pete's already said it, but we've spoken about the influence that Curtis Jones can have when he does build his confidence and he does get the momentum. Sort of similar to what we said about Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. He's probably not been in the side as often as what he was a month or two ago. Unfortunately, got the injury. But a player like Curtis Jones needs that run of games to give himself the confidence to show himself, as well as everyone else, what he can do to really influence a match.
I want to throw this one back at you very quickly, Jimmy, and then I might go to Nick. I just want to hear from both of you. Actually, all three of us can have a go at this, or all three of you guys can have a go at this. What do you guys think of Oxlade-Chamberlain? Because he comes off with the ankle injury, and it looks like he's just getting into the game. I don't think I would call him poor. I don't know if that's harsh, but there was a late game. I was also just off a flight, and I was very sleep deprived, so I may have just missed the subpar performance. But I mean, Jimmy, what do you think of the Ox?
I think in the position that he's playing, it's probably a bit hard to say that he played poor. I think you've got to remember he's essentially filling Mohamed Salah's role, and we're used to seeing Mohamed Salah fill in there and do wonders week in, week out. So maybe there's a bit of an expectation that he needs to perform at that sort of level or provide that sort of work on the right-hand side, the same as Mohamed Salah. The reality is you're not going to get that with Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. He's not a right-wing attacking player. We've said it before that we prefer him back in the midfield place. I still think for what he needed to do in that game, I still think he was able to provide. I still think he did quite a good job. We've said many times we don't think that that's his position. He should be played up front. Obviously, the hands forced a little bit more than previous times. I still think it was a fine performance. I don't think there's anything to complain about. He's still getting into the right positions. He's got the goal, which is absolutely fantastic. A few good passes around the game as well to keep the ball moving, keep things going. The one thing that we did miss, though, I don't know if anyone else maybe noticed this, but I felt that we really missed those forward runs coming from the right-hand side as well that we usually see with Oxlade-Chamberlain when he plays in midfield, which also then assists Trent's game as well. Not that Trent relies on Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain to put in a good performance, but we do see that adding to our game at times, and I felt we did miss that as well.
Was there anything, Nick, that you saw in this game that you thought was different from maybe the last few games that we've seen, that we've witnessed with Liverpool? Because just to go through chronologically, so that we can get through the Brentford game and towards events surrounding Liverpool during the week and also in the lead up to Arsenal when they attempt to postpone the game. But we score in the 44th minute, and it's quite cagey up until then. But Liverpool look like they're in control. But then after the halftime whistle, I'm pretty sure Brentford get this massive chance where it's that same like defense splitting ball and one-on-one with the goalkeeper. I thought that was a great chance. What did you find? How did you find the balance of the game? Do you think that Liverpool were back in this game, or did you just think that it was a similar performance? We shouldn't get too carried away, and the basically we just put the chances away. That's the only difference.
I think you just summed it up there, chances we put away, because as I've said, one of my gripes with this Liverpool team this season and last is the opposition gets a chance and they score a goal, whereas in this game, Brentford had 6 chances, but none of them actually managed to hit the back of the net. So if you look at the comparison, we had like 20-odd shots, 8 on target. They had, I think, 4 on target. There we go, a few missed. So in saying that, if they were better with their finishing, which they did have a couple of instances in that second half, especially there was one side of that went just past the post where you thought that was going to be an equaliser. And I thought Tony might have had a bit more luck in front of goal, but it seemed to work out for us. And lucky enough, we just managed to get ourselves some goals. I mean, we talk about goals from midfield, and Fabinho scores again after a couple in the FA Cup, and we talk about goals from midfield. We're not expecting these sorts of goals from near post headers. We're talking about runs from the midfield or shots from outside the box and things like that, which we have seen at times. I don't know if you want to classify Chamberlain's goal as a goal from midfield. Technically, it's not because he's in that forward line, but a midfielder playing in the front line, you can maybe twist the numbers to make it suit the agenda, whichever way you want to put it. But I mean, in saying that, we did have a few chances that we did miss. So, I mean, 3-0, it looks comfortable at the end of it. But if you look back at some of the chances Brentford did have, it could have really gone sour. And we've noticed it as well. The longer we go the first half without scoring first, the more anxious we become. And thankfully, it happened to get a goal just before halftime, which sort of changes the mood going into the dressing room. Then you come out and you expect the same again. But with the players you have as well to your dispose, whatever word I'm looking for, whatever. Yeah, I'm trying to say. Thank you. That's the one. I didn't think it sounded right, but that's the one. Remember, Thiago's out. We're still waiting for Elliot to come back, which is back in training now, so it's nice. So that midfield sort of does run a little bit thin. We did have Tyler Morton on the bench, also Cade Gordon, who did come on for his Premier League debut, which was nice. But when we mentioned you don't have Salah or Mane, it does make the front line work a little bit harder, or try and make him do something a little bit different that maybe they can't emulate or replicate what Mane and Salah do, but at least they can actually influence the game to make the opposition think twice about what they're going to do. You can't have a defender sitting there thinking, well, it's not Salah, so this is a piece of cake. You still have to make the opposition think, okay, how am I going to tackle Oxlade-Chamberlain when he's running at me, or how am I going to get Jota when he can switch with Firmino, and then who am I supposed to be tracking when I'm taken out of position and things like that. So on the balance of play, it worked out in the end, but it could have gone wrong, but thankfully it didn't. It's a clean sheet. It's 3 points, and we've got a couple of games in hand on top of Chelsea now. And as I said, there are 1 or 2 points behind us, so it makes it a little bit maybe easier for us now, but there is still a lot of work to be done.
I like this comment because isn't that how we score? I think it's legit. Like I think before this season, before their seasons at Liverpool, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain and Diogo Jota had never scored headed goals in the Premier League, and I think that they said the difference between them before and then now. The thing that happened in between, to quote the Bible, I'm not getting religious here. I'm just on a show that represents it. But anyway, the thing that happened in between was Trent and Andy Robertson was the thing that happened in between. Their saviors. So anyway, I don't know why we keep crossing the ball to 5-foot-something strikers, but they seem to score all the time. And by the way, Jota's 5'10" is actually not that small. But anyway, regardless of that, I just want to say g'day to Rahul. I thought this is a really nice little comment here. I think they did do a good job. And it's actually refreshing there. Rafinha, what would any signing have done to our team? I would say. So, a little bit of a hint to our scouting network or our transfer teams. Let's try and get somebody that can help us out. Otherwise, we just got to deal with what we have until Salah and Mane come back. Pete, I wanted to come to you because coming onto that front three, just as we start to go into the second half, do you think there is something to be said? And I might even put up this heat map very quickly of Chamberlain. You see that heat map there of Chamberlain. You see this heat map here of Trent. And you see this heat map here of Henderson. And contrary to the other side where all three of them are in the same spot and they're kind of trying to do the same attacking thing, they kind of all feel like forwards, whereas Trent is very much a midfielder playing right back. Henderson is a conservative box-to-box midfielder playing right side, and Chamberlain is a right-sided midfielder playing forward. It's like we have 3 centre midfielders buzzing around. How did you find the balance of that? And do you think that's something we can look at going forward?
Look, the one thing for me, you speak at the right-hand side, and Jimmy mentioned it earlier, we would have loved to have seen a bit more forward runs. Just really try and stretch someone else's back four, because teams that come to us, they do try and see a bit more compact. To quote Rafa Benitez, they try and see a bit more compact, and they try and minimize space for us. So that's why... for me, that's why, a lot of people like this comment here. I get the shit with our crosses and the 500 crosses we have. But for me, I kind of agree with that too, because it gets real frustrating watching us deliver the ball 300 times a match instead of maybe just trying to keep the ball for an extra 5, 6, 7 passes and see what comes out of it. Sometimes we're too quick to deliver. And I think Henderson's the biggest culprit of that in the squad, because the second he gets the ball in near the box, he's just trying to whip it in, and half the time it goes out for a throw-in. So I'd like to get us a bit more fluid. Yeah, you speak about movement, you speak about all that kind of stuff. We like to play with 2 triangles on either side of the field. But for me, I feel like we just need to be a bit more patient in those areas. And if we can keep the ball for an extra 5 or 6 passes, then why not? Because in the day, if we have the ball, they're running. Which means if they're running, they're moving out of shape. Something may pop up. We've got someone like Curtis on the field who can definitely find pockets. Firmino, who can make pockets happen if he wants to. And then Jota, who's actually quite good at making blindside runs. So you look at their strengths. Chamberlain's quite good at driving with the ball and running forward. If you play to their strengths, I think we could do a lot more damage. And going back to your comment earlier, after that performance, we're not back, where I think it was a bit more. If Fabinho didn't score, I think it would have probably ended 0-0, to be honest. It seems like it was going to be one of those games. But that we won, which is the most important thing. And hopefully, as you saw in all the players' Instagram comments and their posts, was back on track and all that kind of stuff. And we build on this performance and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully they stick to their words, because it would be nice to make a final.
Resurgence.
Nice
That's what we're using. We're using the word resurgence.
It's like a Roland Emmerich movie title.
Gentleman. There's a confused gentleman in the right-hand side.
It would be nice to make a final. You know what I mean? Like, regardless how shit the cup is, it would be nice to make a final and play in a final. Like, we haven't won enough with this squad and with this manager. Like, it hasn't been enough.
I'm going to come back at you in just a second, Pete. I want to throw this one at Jimmy. Taki Minamino scores again. It's Pete's guy. It's Pete's boy. That's who Pete has been clamoring on about, for the last couple of years. Lots of faith in Taki Minamino, the birthday boy. Scores again. I particularly liked how he operated with Firmino, and it's really interesting. I was watching with my partner actually, and I don't know for what basis this was said. I think it just must be like a instinctual thing, an instinctive thing, because she says as soon as Minamino scores, Firmino is the one that assists him, brings him over, tells him to jump onto Firmino's back, and he jumps on. Birthday boy celebrations, and she's like, they're so good together, those two, and that made sense. I don't know why, and it kind of I don't know if statistically that can be proved. But they do make sense because they buzz around the same area and they can really confuse defenses. And you can see Firmino like Pete will know what I'm talking about here. Have you heard the commentary? And Nick might know the whole like RKO where it's just like Randy Orton slithering like a snake and he's about to do the RKO out of
just
nowhere.
Running around, prowling, gets up and it just drops you.
It's just like, that's what Firmino did. Firmino did the RKO out of nowhere. He did the Gegenpress out of nowhere, sets up to Minamino and scores. I don't know. I like those two together. That's all I'm trying to say.
Well, if you know what, if you go watch the clip back, I've actually got it on my phone. If I can send it to you, maybe you can put it on. But it's actually Cade Gordon leads the press really, really well. He runs in from the right-hand side and blocks the pass out from the goalkeeper. So the goalkeeper really only has a central pass. Minamino is 50-50 behind the striker behind the defender who's going to receive the ball because his shoulders are facing the goal. Minamino slips in, steals the ball off him, and then that little combination you saw with Firmino. And the goal was actually, if you look at the press, the goal was a really, really, really well-worked goal, and it's not as simple as it looked. It was actually all started from Cade Gordon, funnily enough.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And for Bobby Firmino, he's a giver. He's not a taker. He's proved that for years. He's absolutely fantastic at what he does. Exactly that. But they're two quite similar players, but are effective in two different ways. I think when you look at Taki and you look at Bobby, I still don't think we've seen enough of Taki. We've seen a lot more of him, which has been fantastic. And I think he's got 6 or 7 goals so far this season, which when you think for someone who has only been able to see flashes of appearance at times is absolutely fantastic. And what that does for somebody's confidence is absolutely brilliant. And we need that. We need these kind of players to be able to score goals and to have influence on games, whether it is for 15 minutes or whether it is for 45 or for 90 minutes. But it's exactly that. We need these players to still be able to do that press and be able to do that for that 90 minutes and be able to create pressure to allow mistakes to happen so that we can take advantage of that. And has Taki honestly had enough opportunities to do that in the past? We used to celebrate him coming on in the 93rd minute when we were 4-0 up in games because that was the only time we'd get to see him. Now he's had a bit of opportunity with the cup runs. I know myself and Nick have spoken about this on a few pods in the past. He just needs that opportunity just to play a few more games and get a bit more time, because the last thing we wanted was to come here to AFCON time and then it's like, oh well, now we need to rely on him and he hasn't had an opportunity. He's doing brilliant. I mean, barring the miss against Arsenal, we can turn our heads to that one for the moment, but it's so good to be able to see him link up with players like Bobby Firmino and have an influence on the game and do something positive, because we're starting to see the things that he can do on the football pitch. He wasn't brought in because we had a spare 7 million to spend and we didn't know what else to do with it. We saw him in one game against Liverpool when he was playing for Salzburg, and we thought, we might as well take a punt. He's actually someone who can have an influence and produce things in games. So, I mean, he only played 15 minutes there against Brentford, but to show that he can still do something in that time, that's exactly what we need. So, absolutely brilliant, and really exciting to see what comes next.
Yeah, I mean, can we think of any other players, Pete, on our bench that come on and have scored as many goals as Taki? I mean, he hasn't had many opportunities in the Premier League, but this is someone now who's coming on.
Origi's name, but Origi, for some reason, he's disappeared again.
No, I mean, Origi has also been at Liverpool for stretches where he comes on and does nothing, like in last season. He came on as a substitute and didn't score for like 14 months. I mean, this is now very consistent from Taki, considering the amount of minutes he's played. This is it's kind of like what are the players like? What is it? Not Sheringham. Solskjaer and those super subs in the past that you can like rely on to come on and score a goal. I
Even
mean,
James Beattie towards the end of his career, he was doing that, wasn't he?
Yeah,
for
it
the
was.
Ev.
But it's funny, like it's because everyone now is only remembering Minamino for that miss against Arsenal, right? But yeah, when you
It
bring
was
up,
a hard one as well. Like it was difficult, that one.
yeah, but when you
I'd say
bring
get
up
off his back.
his goal statistics, minutes minutes played per goal, it'll be like, oh yeah, but it's against cup teams. Well, fuck me. When it's the which one is it? If he's playing, he can only
Okay,
score
Pete, I'll fuck
against who
you.
he's playing with.
Sorry.
But do you know what I mean? Like it's you can only play who's against. Like you can't no, I'm not playing today.
Yeah.
I want to play against Chelsea to score against Chelsea. No, you start who you play against whoever you're starting against.
Yep.
That's why I can't handle that comment of yeah, but he scored only in the cup games. They're the only games he's played.
Really.
What do you want him to do?
Yeah.
And this
I
is
mean,
a cool
think
comment
about
from Rahul. We're the only guys who stick up for Taki, despite the miss against Arsenal. The thing against Arsenal is, how many shots did we have on the target? Like the one or something like that. That's why I'm always a proponent of, for example, like Ferguson always says, he doesn't like disrespecting a striker if they miss one chance or whatever it is, or if they miss a chance, as long as they're getting in the position. In that game against Arsenal, we didn't have like 40 chances or anything like that. Okay, you can miss a gilt-edged chance, but if it's the team's only chance, I don't think we can lay it all on Minamino at all. Like it's just kind of.
There were so many other worse performance in that Arsenal game rather than Minamino. I think you can name 5 other players before you mention his name. I mean, in terms of that match in general.
But they pinpoint that one, Pete, because of the open miss. That's why that's the one chance they can think of in that match. It's like, oh, Minamino, wow, what a shit performance. The guy might have hit the post 10 times, made the keeper save 10 shots, and if he misses an open goal, arguably an open goal, that's all they're going to remember him for. So that's the sad reality when it stands on, and specifically pointing out that one chance because that seemed to be the only real chance we actually had to score a goal.
Game,
That's why it sticks out even more than what normally would. If there were 3 or 4 other chances in that game, you might say, well, everyone shares the burden equally. But because he went down to that one moment at the end of the game, that's why he cops all the flack.
But we're playing against 10 men for 65 minutes as well. That sits on everyone else's shoulders. I mean, that's pathetic. And we've been pathetic in that sense all season against 10 men, where teams put up a barrier and we struggle to break it down. It's not good enough. In fact, I think we've only scored 1 goal in the time that we've played against 10 men or something like that so far this season.
1 from open play.
One from open play.
Yeah. That's. Whether you got Mo Salah, Mane in your team or not, that can't be happening.
I think a couple more. We've got one of those typos corrected there. Well, actually, players was the only. I mean, players was spelled correctly there. That's okay. I think Asna was the one that we needed to fix up there, boy Pele. But I agree with you. I thought he was fine. I love the way that he plays between the lines and between positions. So a lot of love for Taki here. I'm going to put something on the screen here, Nick, and I'll go to you first. This is a situation, and this is the last thing that we'll say in regards to the Premier League, and then we're going to move on to pre-Arsenal chat. But all you guys here in the comments, I'm going to ask you the same question. So it's going to cover Nick's face as he attempts to think about an answer to this. So it's I think it's fitting that his face is being covered by the question as he ponders. You can just see his eyes. It's brilliant. Can we catch City? The situation is we win our game in hand. We're 8 behind. And essentially, what is that? That's essentially if we win,
we have to lose 3 and we have to win 3. Can you see them losing 3 games?
Is it not 4 draws? That's the situation.
Can you see them drawing 4 times?
So that's what look. I am the mediator. I'm the person asking the questions here. So that's all I'm asking. I'm just giving the situation to you. All right,
for every 4 draws City have, we're going to have 7.
Draw 4. Or,
seriously?
What is it? Or lose 2? What is it? Lose 2? If they lose 2, we don't even catch them then.
How many times have we been in a position where we can take advantage of City or Chelsea dropping points and we completely banana slip it? It's just what we do. It's what we do. We've had 6 draws in the league this season, and they've been, I'd say, maybe 4 or 5 of them we shouldn't have drawn. We've just allowed ourselves to fail. Dropping points or losing to West Ham, dropping points against Brighton. Man City would probably be the one game you said probably should have ended in a draw. Exactly. It's true. It's completely true. Obviously losing to Leicester City as well. Like there's so many examples where we're dropping points, we're losing games, we're drawing games. We shouldn't be doing that. Are Man City doing that? They've dropped a few points this season, but the way they're going at the moment, it's going to take something big to stop them.
I'll say this, and I'll say it again and again and again. And I'll fucking wear it. I'll do a 45-minute show and just to be absolutely embarrassed. But there is no chance on earth that we're going to catch City. Zero. Because can they drop 4 games? Yeah, of course they can. But that means they can't drop.
Can I stop you there, Pete? Remember you said there was no chance we'll get in 4th last season. Do you remember that?
4th?
Last season. We came 3rd, so we even did better. But you said there is no chance, George, we're making Champions League. There's no chance. So is this the jinx we need, Pete? Are your words right now? Is this are you sacrificing yourself? It's been a very religious show. Are you sacrificing yourself now?
Sacrificial lamb.
Look, this may be the last supper I ever say this, but it's and you know what? I might get crucified.
You're already a Judas anyway. You're an Aston Villa fan. Get out of here.
Look, I might get crucified for it in the end, but it's simple. If they have to drop the 4 games, we have to not drop 1. Are you like? Is this registering? Like, we do not do this.
A simple no would have been just fine, but
Okay. Mr. Kafinas, in your unhinged rant, nothing that you said made any sense.
I love it when I watch when I read through Twitter and they're like, "Don't worry, all they got to do is we beat them and it becomes 5 points, and then they've got to lose the next 6 games and it becomes 12 points." Do you understand? We have to go undefeated for the rest of the year for that to happen.
It's all ifs and buts. That's what it is. It's all
football.
ifs and buts.
let me throw it to you guys. City draw 4. No, City draw 5, lose 2, and we drop some points. What about those mashed potatoes?
Who are they going to drop 5 against? Give me the 5 and the losing
5
2.
draws? Okay.
Yeah.
They're drawing against United.
No chance.
Let's have a look at their fixtures. Actually,
I'm looking at them right now. Yeah.
So
They got
here we are. You can see 'em
Southampton next
This
in
is
the
box
Premier
office,
League.
by the way.
there. What's that?
This is box office.
This is box office stuff now. This is what it's all about. Here we go. I'm gonna
Southampton next. That's who they got.
Okay, win.
Southampton are going to get
Let's go
rammed.
here. So Southampton. There we go. They're winning against Southampton. I think they lose 2-0.
Come on, George. Wake up.
I need Skullthuggery to come in here and just start ripping us to shreds.
Can I get the Hasenhüttl gif?
Well, they
Of him
drew
just going
one all,
like
by the way.
crazy and going like, let's just calm down. Let's just calm down.
They drew
So
to
they've already
already at the start of the year,
did,
right?
At home,
Southampton
yes.
fuck them up? Didn't they draw against them?
Yeah,
Yeah, they
one,
did, yeah.
1-1. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh well, he's already got him. He's gonna cry like he did against Jurgen Klopp. All right, then they've got Brentford. Brentford are upset because they just got spanked against us, so they're going all out.
They'll beat them
Ivan
4-0
Toney,
again.
LFC fan. He's gonna go. He's gonna do like this. Torres 5. He's gonna go 6. He's gonna go 7. He's gonna go to
George.
the empty head.
They will beat
You've
them
spent
4-0
way too
again.
much time.
Next
Way
one.
too much time in Hollywood, mate. You're killing me.
So
It's too
Norwich,
much Fantasyland
6-0.
stuff.
6-0 against Norwich, 4-0 against Brentford. Yeah, next.
They got
Manchester City
Tottenham.
versus Tottenham. Conte's getting points.
So,
Come
look,
on,
that,
come
that
on.
little period there.
At the
Tottenham,
Etihad.
Everton, and United. That's actually quite
Undefeated
difficult.
Conte. Is he not undefeated?
True.
that's
I think so,
Conte's
yeah.
music.
My God, that's Antonio Conte! Oh my God!
So this is what the people think. I'm the people's champion. This is what the people think. We will beat them, win every game, and then we'll win the league, and Klopp will parade it around Anfield on his flying pig. See, if there's a flying pig, then it has to happen. The old saying goes, if
Yeah,
pigs
but he
fly,
won't
there's
do that
already a
because
flying
of Salah and Mane.
Bit of respect.
pig. Yeah, exactly.
It's a good
Imagine
point
dropping
here.
points to United. I'd be embarrassed for them.
Yeah.
And there you go. Look at this. We get with the tide's turning. We just need energy. We just need everyone from doubters to believers.
Well,
anyway,
This is
we
their
all
last
think no,
results.
I'm thinking.
Here are their last results, gents. From late 2019 till current day. Man City 3-1, Man City 2-1, Southampton 1-0, Man City 1-0, Man City 5-2, City Southampton 0-0. That was the Premier League match. That was the 0-0 game. It wasn't 1-0, it was 0-0. So
Warm.
at the moment, You
There's
know,
one team there that's in form going into that in terms of points gained, and
that's
that is
City.
Southampton. And the head-to-head. That is there's unbelievable stats you can't argue with. Okay, moving on from the tomfoolery or tomfoolery, whichever you wish to see it as. We've got Arsenal coming up here now. For those in Australia, all of our viewers here, listeners, watchers, fans, whatever, subscribers. I don't know how many of you guys are in Australia, but do we got a time here for Liverpool versus
6:45.
Arsenal?
6:45.
Yeah, early morning.
6:45 on
Friday.
on the Friday.
Friday morning.
Yeah,
Friday morning,
6:45 normal time.
6:45.
What's that? 5:45 Steve Wilding time.
Steve
Oh, yeah,
Wilding time. Yeah.
Queensland time.
Yeah.
Bloody
Those
Queenslanders.
So let's go on to this now. First of all, I want to ask you guys. I might even put this as a banner so that the people who tune in, can know what we're talking about. Do any of you guys want to win the League Cup? And do you think we
Yeah.
should try and win it?
100%.
100%.
All right,
that
Pete.
FA Cup because we need trophies.
Pete,
That's it.
win the FA Cup or have Man City lose one game.
I'd rather win
This
the
is
FA
the
Cup.
EFL, isn't it?
EFL, sorry.
Oh,
Win the
this is the
EFL
EFL.
Cup. Win the EFL Cup or have Man City lose one game.
What's one game going to do for us? I'd rather get the trophy.
That's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. Everyone would rather have a trophy. That's what I'm saying. So people might say, screw the cup. Let's focus on the league. Look, it's effectively 2 games to go. We beat Arsenal away at the Emirates in 2 sleeps time or 1 sleep time, whatever the hell it is. And then everyone's be like, okay, we're in a cup final. Okay, it's an EFL Cup. It ain't the most glamorous, ain't the most prestigious thing. We're still in the FA Cup. We're still in the Champions League. Let's not forget that. And we're in a hunt, use that term loosely, hunt for a Premier League. But if you have a chance to at least win something now, you take that chance. And then you say, well, we won something throughout the season. Now let's go and win something else. If it's not going to be the Premier League, but you're still going to be chasing it, you're still going to be trying to pushing City all the way, then you try and go for maybe an FA Cup. I'd probably look at the Champions League first and foremost. But if you progress in the FA Cup somehow, then you take that as well. So if you end up on the season winning the EFL and the FA Cup, is that a bad season? Missing out on the Premier League and Champions League?
We can win
If you win
second
those 2
place.
domestics, you're saying.
Yes.
So go on, Pete.
I think we can win second place this year. That's like the new trophy. Isn't it?
Well, if it's a competition against Man City, then coming second is effectively coming first for the other 19 teams in the league. Yeah,
In all seriousness, if we left this season without a Champions League, without a Premier League, but we made Champions League anyway in the top 4, but we leave with 2 domestic trophies, for me, that's a very successful year.
yeah, I would say so. I'll take it right now. If you said you finish second and you make quarterfinals of a Champions League, but you win the 2 domestic cups, I'll take it.
Salah's
we
been
haven't-
too good to not win a trophy for him this year.
Yeah.
Something,
Yeah,
just
100%.
something.
I think that's it. A trophy, whether it's the domestic or it's the league or whether it's the Champions League, it's still a recognition of how good this team is. And yeah, we've had that sort of 12, 18 months where we won 4 trophies. But you look at how long we've had this fantastic team and how long it's been built, and that's still all we have to show for it. I think that's the real struggle that I have. We haven't won we won the Carabao Cup in 2012 on penalties against Cardiff. We won a cup, doesn't matter. We haven't won the FA Cup since 2005, I think it was.
6.
Is that right? No, 2006, the year after the Champions League, of course. But you think a club like us, we haven't actually been able to, apart from I think one final, we haven't been able to get to that stage. I think that's ridiculous. I think you should always be attacking on all fronts. And the only time it's a Mickey Mouse Cup is when you lose it. Don't worry about it after that. But if you're still in it, you should be going for it 100%.
Thank you, Sir Alex Ferguson. Thank you.
I think it's not too much of a tangent here because we're talking about trophies, and there's a certain team that hasn't won a trophy since 1995. They've had quite an eventful week. I'm just going to put this up here. We'll get back to Arsenal because I do have a predictive lineup. And Pete, I'm so sorry that this may be disrespectful to one of your mates. I'm really sorry, but I just thought it was hilarious, more for the Ev. But this is something that came up.
What a stat. What an absolute stat. Finished in the top 6 in 4 out of 8 seasons.
I'm not bringing this up for about Tim Cahill. I'm bringing it up because I don't know who it's more disrespectful to, because I think that's fine for Tim Cahill, but the fact is that they think that finishing in the top 6 for 4 out of 8 seasons is actually an achievement for Everton. I thought it was hilarious, but anyway, that's
Actually, funny you say that. Just to mention it as well. I can't remember where I saw it, but I saw it somewhere, and it was like when Cahill, he was taking a photo with Moyes when he was their manager, saying like, when Everton finished above Liverpool for the first time in how many seasons, whatever it was. I'm just like, if that is your claim to fame, I'm sorry, but what does that say about the mentality and the status of your club? It's, if you said like, won the FA Cup, back to back in the late 80s or whatever, okay, I can understand that. But for you to say it was responsible for finishing above Liverpool for the first time in how long? Like, that's like the Arsenal Spurs type of thing, you know what I mean? When they have a St. Tottenham's Day, whatever it is, when there's no chance they can finish above them. It's the same sort of thing. I just don't understand that aspect of it. I get it's rivalries, but that to me is like, who cares?
Just maybe say how many caps he had for his country or something like that. Something
exactly
that were relevant.
But it's even more disrespectful. It's even more disrespectful to Everton, I think, because it's just saying. Anyway, that was just something a little bit of a poke, because obviously Rafa Benitez was sacked by in the wider news, wider LFC Twitterverse, Spiderverse. I thought that was just I don't even know what to think about that. But going on to the League Cup, I just want to look at this is the predicted lineup, by the way. So this is a I don't know if you can call this mathematics, but this is the situation that at least the people at SofaScore, I don't know where they get this predicted lineup from, but as we look forward to the game, as we start to get excited about the EFL Cup, the possibility of Liverpool trying to do this thing, winning it. Did you guys have any ideas about the starting lineup? Considering we do have Crystal Palace 3 days later, and Palace was an interesting game for us, although I don't know if they've gone through a bit of a lull. Vieira looks interesting as a manager there. I think he's done a lot better than people expect. But I don't know. Do we weigh one against the other? We were just talking about Liverpool cannot drop points in the Premier League anymore because City will draw 5 games. So, given that reality, do we go strong in this game? What do we go? I'll go to you first, Pete, because you're the one who actually said City are probably drawing 5 or 6 of their last few games. So
now he's gassing him up.
See, it's a tough one because I thought Ox would have been great to start again, but clearly he's injured. We don't know what Origi's injury is, or something mystical again.
Get Doctor Strange on the case.
Yeah, I don't think we have many options, to be honest with you. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Fabinho rested, to be honest. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that, and maybe Tyler Morton slots in. I wouldn't be surprised if Timika starts, and I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Kanate gets some important minutes again. I think you will see I think you'll see about 5 or 6 changes, to be honest with you, because with the Crystal Palace only 3 days away. After that, I think Klopp, he's not going to be, one eye on Palace already, but I think with him, he'll field out as strong as he thinks it is enough to get past Arsenal. But this is again why we haven't won a domestic cup for so long, because we tend to do stuff like this.
George, if you can put my share screen on just quickly. We have a bit of a conflict between SofaScore and Who Scored. Almost an identical lineup. It's like a full strength team, but I would question, like I said, if you're in with an absolute chance of making a final and then winning a trophy, you would play a strong 11 in this game. But then again, you have to think about Palace, who are 3 days later, who have actually been on a semi-decent run. I mean, they scored a cracking team goal in their 1-1 draw the other day, I think it was, or maybe 2-1 win, whatever it was, like 50 passes or something with a finishing goal. But Minamino starting on the left, according to Who Scored, with Jota on the right. I don't know if that actually works. The midfield looks pretty self-explanatory, but would you play the exact same midfield again that just played 3 days ago, and then you're expecting them again to play 3 days later against an arguably tougher opposition, because Arsenal are missing quite a fair few players. As you can see, that they're starting with a very young lad in Nketiah up front, according to Who Scored, with Martinelli, who has been in some good form for Arsenal, Saka on that right side, Ben White down the middle, Lacazette, who's been lacking in finishing touch, lacking in the Zet. Aubameyang come back from his African Cup of Nations failure, and apparently he's got Rona again or something, so he's probably out. So that and no Xhaka as well for this team. Granted, Ramsdale's been decent for him this season. If you're starting with Firmino, which you probably would, thinking he's going to need some game time, the midfield though is a question. But you probably do see Konate maybe starting in place of Matip, because what's his quote right now, Pete? Has he played 2 games in a row yet? 3 games maybe?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you got to watch that. You got to watch that, mate. You got to watch that game streak there. So, would you risk playing your full strength backline in this sort of a game here? The front, where else are you going to get goals from? That's the other question.
Yeah, I agree. I think the front line is it is what it is. There's no change there. I agree with the Konate coming in. I don't think he takes anything away from our starting 11. I think he's hit the ground running, and he's been absolutely fantastic in the games that he's played. There's been some adjustments here and there that he's needed to make, but he's done it in real time, which is fantastic. My question is, I would like to see Tsimikas come in, because I think he can still do a great job, and he can still have an impact on this kind of game when we're trying to get to a final.
Look how smug he is now. He's got the starting position now. I think he can still do a good job. He's not as good as us. He's not as good as us. There in the left back. He's all
right. So he is, by the way.
He's all right. He's a wee good handy lad.
He's good for a backup.
He's good for the backup.
Yeah. So no, I genuinely think he can come in and he can still have an impact on this game that can take us to the final. I can see Jurgen Klopp bringing James Milner in, and I know. And
I'll turn the TV off. I'll turn it off. I'm not going to watch James Milner playing in 2022. I just can't.
Look, he's a fantastic individual, and he's done some amazing stuff for the club. I don't know, is he just maybe not on the right patch of form that we need from him at the moment? Because he's just coming in and he's just doing things that aren't improving our game at the moment. I know he's got the experience and he's got the leadership and all that kind of stuff, but what other option do we honestly have apart from playing that 3 in midfield this,
you're probably right,
this game
Henderson
and
needs
then
the
also
rest.
on Sunday?
So you're probably right. I think Henderson needs the rest, because his form's been shit anyway, but he's not very good at playing too many games in a week as well, because he's also under an injury cloud here and there. So you're probably right. It probably does come in for Henderson, and it probably still stays Fabinho and Jones, or maybe Morton and Jones.
I think not playing Fabinho is a big risk. That's my biggest concern as well, because he's just been that individual that's just consistently between midfield. There's been so many questions about our midfield this season, and we've spoken about it on so many different shows. But the consistent cog from start of the season to now has been Fabinho. I would say Thiago as well, but he's been a bit in and out and injuries here and there also. Morton, I love Morton, great talent, one for the future, definitely. Would I play him in the second leg of a semi-final when we really want to get silverware? Is probably not the right time to be chucking him into the deep end again. I think we've probably put a little bit too much pressure on him so far this season, in certain aspects where we've needed him to play. He's performed, but it has to be Fabinho for this one, surely.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I just go to Rahul here. I think those make sense, Tsimikas, Konate. I just think that I don't know if it was the reason that he's brought in Alisson for that Arsenal game, because it had been so long since Alisson had been in the side. So it was something. We get Arsenal vlogs coming in. G'day, Arsenal. How you going, guys? We're gonna do a bit of a prediction for the game coming up, 6:45 a.m. Aussie time, whatever it is for you guys, if you are in Australia or elsewhere. We're gonna ask you for your predictions in a second. But going back to Rahul here, I'm not sure if Kelleher would start it. It looks like Klopp has kind of said that he's the cup goalkeeper, but I'm going with Alisson. That was the previous one. So, but interesting. I mean, I think Kelleher's at the point where it doesn't matter if he doesn't make things that much worse. Like, unfortunately, we've had that with previous keepers. I think he's been great. I want to just go to maybe just finally predictions for the game. Arsenal predictions. You guys in the comments, give us your predictions for the game. I also want to know what you think, how the game's going to go. If you think it's going to be won in 90 minutes, if you think it's going to be won in extra time, or if it's going to go to penalties. So we do have our mates from Arsenal Vlogs here saying, I think 2-1 Liverpool. But does that mean 2-1 to the home team, and that means that Liverpool only have 1 goal, Arsenal have 2? Or does that mean 2-1 to Liverpool? I'm sure it means 2-1 to Liverpool. I'm going to choose to read it that way. But
yeah, apparently we are ending on Reece Williams' loan, apparently, and rumor has it that Nate Phillips will leave before the end of the transfer window. So I don't know if Klopp's seen something in that there. But my thing is, as we mentioned in our vlog, says 2-1 to Liverpool. Mentioned, rather seen it in the thumbnail. The North London derby was postponed because of a lack of first team players or a strong enough team for Arsenal. Now, whether that's true or not, I'm not 100% sure. But even Spurs were like extremely surprised, and a lot of people came out. I think we mentioned this on the last show, Pete, on Sunday, post or pre Brentford rather, where when Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher agree on something, you know that something is definitely amiss, and they agreed that games should not be postponed when squads have 20 plus, 30 plus players in their team so they can play multiple games. It's the same thing where people said it's a conspiracy. Liverpool faked their COVID cases so they could rest players and come back from injury and all this sort of other shit. Even other teams had done it beforehand. So there was rumors that this game was going to be postponed again because Arsenal couldn't field enough players or a quote strong enough team unquote. But when you look at the players they've got available to them, because of so many other players that are out, they've got 3 players away at the AFCON. They're missing Aubameyang, as I said. Saka may be back for this one. Xhaka's out from the suspension. Not that they make much of a difference, but Kolasinac and Suarez, they're injured, so they are light on players, whereas we're okay-ish. So I just found it odd that they were looking to use that as another reason to try and postpone this match.
yeah, interesting. I mean, you can see the missing players there. So, given all of this, do we have some predictions from you guys? We have here 2-0 Jones double. I like that.
Ooh,
Jones
calling
double.
Dr. Jones.
Pete's done the gif where Rodgers gets sacked and Henry touches Carragher's knee. He's like,
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'll probably lose my shit if Jones scores a double, but I can't predict because
he's doing that shit, Pete, where he's coming in again off that left-hand side, whether he's left wing or left center midfield. He's coming in and he's doing that kick. And I remember he did that one Coutinho style was it against Arsenal? Was that against Arsenal or was it against it may have even been against Brentford, and then Henderson gives him the clap, and Henderson's just outside not the clap as in the disease. He gives him a round of applause. So is Jimmy. Jimmy's just got it there. But yeah, we're starting to see that again from Jones. So, I mean, it's not out of this world that Jones at least gets somewhere near the goal. But go on, Pete. I interrupted you.
Look, I think once we see the starting 11, I think we can base it off a prediction, because if I see James Milner and Henderson in the midfield again, there's no chance we're winning this game. It's simple as that. There's no chance. But so we'll go off that. Once the starting 11 comes out, we'll see. I think Arsenal will be a lot more confident than we think. I think they're going to have a bit of wind in their sails. I think they're going to take a lot of confidence from that 0 draw at Anfield, and I think they're going to probably come out in the first 20, 25 minutes flying, to be honest. So whether they've got to ride that wave, see how we cope during that, and take our chances.
Jimmy?
Look, I'll just take a win at this stage. I'll just take a ticket to the final. I think it is going to be a close game. But I think our biggest issue, not necessarily the midfield, dependent on whether both Hendo and Milner play, because I agree with where Pete's coming from. I think for me, it's what is our front 3 going to do working together? Are they going to produce? This would be the time to do it. I genuinely think if we're going to win, I hope we do. I think we are. I think it's going to be a 1-0, like Taki Minamino off the arse goal. And I'll take it 7 days a week.
I don't want pens again. I can't stand penalties. I hate pens.
No, I can't do that.
I don't want pens.
No pens. We've got Kelleher here saving on pens. Do you reckon they bring on Kelleher for pens?
Do what Van Gaal done in
that's
the
right.
World Cup with Tim Krul.
Bring on Krul, that's right. Take off Stecklenburg and bring on Tim Krul. Yeah. I remember watching that shit. That was fun. Good times.
Yeah, if it goes wrong, we look like an absolute bunch of dicks. That's the only problem.
Yeah, like
That's
the
why-
West Ham against Man United.
Yeah, that's why you
Oh
win
my
it
god,
in,
that was
in
so
90.
annoying. I watched the whole game.
Was that the
so
Mark Noble
frustrating.
one?
Yeah,
Mark Noble gets
last
brought
minute
on,
over the
and
crossbar. Yep,
Dickhead.
unbelievable.
Well, guys, we've been here for about an hour, so we think we might call it there. We did a little bit of a review of Brentford, but then we did a preview of Arsenal, which is coming up in a couple of days or so, with a bit of Everton, Rafa, hijinks in the middle there. I think we do pretty well against Arsenal. I think we'll go strong, and I think it's a chance for us to get what is that, semi-final? It's a chance for us to get into the final. Is that what's going on?
Final, yeah.
Final, yeah,
Is that
final.
the situation?
We win, we go to another cup final.
But it's this thing about winning games again. I think it's a real thing. Pete will tell you as well. Being on the training pitches as often as you are, and coaching actual football sides as opposed to us that just watch it and pretend. It's a thing. You win a game and you get confident and you start feeling like you're on top of the world. I mean, going into a final, it's something that can really help out not only the starting 11 but also the peripheral figures, because they start feeling like they've contributed to something as opposed to coming on the last minute and doing piss all. But it is Liverpool against Arsenal at the end of the week. We'll probably give you something, a match debate of some sort over the weekend, Pete, I'm sure. Plus we've got all this stuff surrounding the Red Sea podcast.
If you guys are free Sunday night, let's do one Sunday night.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this is interesting here. Shout out to the Matildas as well, starting the Asia Cup this week. Is that happen? When is that? This week, or is that over the weekend?
Yeah, it starts this week.
This week. All right. Well, shout out to the Matildas as well. But we've been the Red Sea Down Under. Of course, I'm going to give you guys these little thingos that you can follow us on. Make sure to like this video, by the way. Subscribe to the channel. And most of all, up the Reds. And hopefully we'll be celebrating something in the realms of a cup appearance. And if not, maybe a cup win. LFC Resurgence. I think so. See you guys.